America utopia, take away the economy from those who rigged it. As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and to every nook and cranny receiving the signals from our 100,000 watt transmitter going into those magical boxes known as radios. And of course, AKA the Howard Reynolds machines that's still working away. Good morning to the entire world. Sometimes it's evening, otherwise good morning. Getting our signals via the internet, also or formerly known as the ARPANET, created by whom? You the people, your tax dollars, your intellect, and everything else, but now basically controlled by a few billionaires, in which they use to try to mislead too often. Anyway, folks, I have a quick step before I go to the studio. I want to tell all folks out there, and specifically progressives, the idea, the message here is positivity, and that this election is in your hands. This election for 2024 is not lost. It's not won. It's all dependent on you. And guess how yours truly feels right now? Great, empowered, and ready to go out there and win for the American people. Remember that. I've been seeing too many people sit back there and say, oh my God, the polls, the polls, the polls. I want to remind you of one thing. In 2012, by the way, Kamala is up in the polls for those who want Kamala. Let me just let you know that. That is the overall aggregate. But let me tell you, numero dos. When Obama won by substantial numbers over Mitt Romney, Obama was down 3 in the Gallup polls. There are certain things that people must remember about polling, and something they must remember about the American population. And that is, you cannot determine the things that people must keep hidden because of past experiences, because of social realities. And that is the issue this year. And the magical word that I'm going to spend and say to everybody: women. Women and women. Without further ado, let's move it to the studio.
Well, good morning, Egberto. How are you this morning?
I am doing great.
Yeah, you were telling me you were all energized and all full of vip and vigor, which I like to hear, because I am actually not full of vip and vigor. I'm just dragging through the morning, and it is another fine day at the radio. Jack, what you got, man?
Oh, not much. I noticed when I drove by the polling place in Bay Cliff yesterday that, as I rode by, 3 women came out and only one man. So I kind of said, hey, maybe the women are going to do it for us.
Oh, you know they are. They're energized because it's like, okay, you took away our right, we're going to take you out of office.
All right.
Works for me.
Well, only thing I can do is hope. Mm-hmm. Okay, here's good morning, Egberto. Here's your
good morning, my brother.
Today, good news from Harris. She will raise taxes on the rich and cut taxes for the poor, the opposite of what Donald Trump will do. And CNN's Jake Tapper deconstructs conspiracy theories pushed by Trump, Musk, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and calls them out for the unpatriotic lies they tell and the unpatriotic lies they are. Liars they are.
Well, we kind of like that, call out those liars. But speaking of truth tellers and truth soothsayers, we have our interim general manager, Sandy Wyman, on the line here. Give us some truth this morning, Sandy.
Egberto, you might be optimistic and fully awake and ready to roll, but the truth is that many people are just getting out of bed and enjoying their first cup of coffee. So
There's some truth.
easy now.
There's some truth
Hey,
for you.
hey, folks, we are now officially in week number 2 of our October Fund Drive, and I want to thank the 331 people that took the action to donate to KPFT so far. And KPFT listeners, we are on a good pace here, having reached the $58,434 mark. That's right, 58,434. Yesterday, when I looked in the mail, there was a substantial check that helped us power yesterday along, but today's a new day on our way to our goal. So 713-526-5738, option 1. And again, good morning. Have that first cup, or if you're now just getting off of work, be careful going home while you're listening to this, but do participate in community radio. Egberto, good morning.
Thank you very much, Sandy. And yes, everybody's getting their first cup of coffee, and I'm here. We are here to bring that positive message. Anyway, folks, today is Aquino Day. Of course, it's Thursday, and Brother Aquino is in the house. Talk to me, my dear brother.
Oh, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, studio. Good morning, global audience. We hope to hear from you today with both your pledges and your insight. And today we're going to talk about the local election matters with the Houston Democracy Project, HoustonDemocracyProject.com, and anything that you as the caller would like to discuss.
Anyway, folks, look, remember our telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. You know, Neil, last about 5:30 in the afternoon, I think it was, or maybe a little bit before that, you know, I'm doing my stuff on the screen and bam, no internet. And, you know, I use Tacos, which is the fastest internet in town. It's 1 gig in both directions, all fiber. Haven't been able to get on until early this morning to get all this stuff done. So I'm sort of erratic in some of the things that we're doing, but we're fighting through. Talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on, I love your blog. You have almost like a map. Why don't we talk a little bit about that?
Well,
because
I just talked
it is a
about,
time.
I daily blog at HoustonDemocracyProject.com, and when early voting started, so early voting is ongoing and runs through November 1st. And a few days ago on the 21st, it began on the 21st. I made a post, and I talked about 4 things when early voting began. The first thing is that I made for myself a list of people I would trust in an authoritarian crisis and just in stressful days ahead. Friends, family, people I've met in Houston politics and activism. And I've added to the list contact information for them outside of the big social media platforms. And I want to, this is a point we've made repeatedly. None of these platforms will be something you can trust in a crisis, and none of them will be reliable. You see how Meta, Facebook, Instagram, Threads has strangled political content. Twitter is a sewer. So I've made that list, and this election, I think in many ways, we are positive and hopeful today. And it's true, it's also that this election's a mental health crisis. It's as stressful as could be. And I took early voting as a spur, to do something for myself, look out for myself and the people I value and trust. And it's not about being scared or intimidated. It's just about being ready. And we do need to be ready. Secondly, I want to be able to help people to vote. Pretty much everyone I know is going to vote. I suspect I know how they're going to vote. But I just want to point out a couple things that anywhere you are in the county, you can vote your local ballot. So let's say that you are in LaPorte. You live in LaPorte, but you happen to be in Klein, right? And this county is as big as a country. You can walk in there in Klein and vote your LaPorte ballot. There are 88 early polling places. You can go to harrisvotes.com. So there's just something you could share with anyone. Someone says, I'm going to vote, or I can't vote this day. Anywhere in the county you can vote. And early voting goes through November 1st. So those are two facts you can share and help people vote. Third, we've got to protect the vote we have. If you go to the Harris County Democratic Party website, they are still looking for poll watchers, and they are looking for people to man their voter protection hotline. And you go to Harris County Democratic Party, just Google it, and you can be part of that. And fourth, I wanted to point out our clerk, Tanisha Hudspeth. She counts the votes. And I have had a sort of a private conversation with her and seen her talk publicly, and she is ready for all scenarios. And you know what they do? They want to, they're making up every story. The voting, your votes being flipped. They're not counting your votes right, whatever. So I want you to just give a thought today to our Harris County clerk, Tanisha Hudspeth. Anyone who listens to this show knows that we are slow to praise elected officials, but she's prepared. And I mean, I mean, she's prepared, that the process is correct from the Harris County clerk's office, and B, if there's a situation, she's been open that, she has hired security. I was at the LGBT caucus meeting a couple weeks ago. She was the guest speaker, and she is ready. So the 4 steps that I envisioned, I did something for myself. I looked out for myself and others. I have the information to help other people vote. If you want to go to the Harris County Democratic Party, they're doing things not just to get out the vote, but to protect the vote. And keep in mind the process, the clerk. Don't let anyone tell you that the votes aren't being counted correctly. Don't let anyone make up some story. The clerk is honest and ethical, and she's running a good operation, and she's ready.
I love Tanisha Hudspeth. I mean, I've spoken to her several times, and she is one person that is on the ball. And when I say on
Yeah.
the ball, she's making sure from security right back. Now, I want to, since we're talking about voting, I want to point out something. Liz Cheney was campaigning along, doing several town halls with VP Kamala Harris this week. And one of the things she pointed out, and specifically to her Republican brothers and sisters, because we're in such a polarized time because of some hoodlums and thugs that we have out there that are trying to intimidate people, she made sure to tell her core that, remember, when you go into that voting booth, your vote is between you and your God and that voting machine. Nobody knows what you vote. It's between you, your God, and your vote machine, or your lack of God, depending on whatever religion you are, or
Right.
whatever. That's what it is. And in effect, she's telling people you have permission to vote your conscience, to vote what is best for your family and for you. However, what you mentioned earlier, my brother, about the sewer that Twitter and other online entities have become, and here's what we have on the internet, and I want all of you listening to look out for this and to tell the people you know about this. There are now ads going out by third parties, and we know coming from overseas, that are telling Americans, when you vote, we know how you voted. Those are lies put out there, and in effect, if it is found that some local entities are doing such, we can actually hit them up for electoral fraud, messing with the electorate. But as a matter of fact, I want everybody listening to the voice right now to understand those messages are there to try to intimidate you. Nobody knows how you voted. Women specifically, please note this. One, nobody knows how you voted. Other information here is we have the voting polls very secure. They're also putting out ads there to kind of intimidate you from attempting or going to vote. Again, your vote is private. Nothing that you read online that will tell you otherwise is possible. Now, also, the day of the election is on this next Tuesday, not this Tuesday, but the next Tuesday. Don't let anybody try to change the date of the election. We had a caller call into our station here, an attempt to mislead you into voting on the wrong day.
Right.
We will never allow that. And I'm telling you, you make sure and counteract and validate everything before you vote. Now, before we go further, Neil, I need to say we're in fund drive mode. This is Politics Done Right. Folks, please remember, we are in fund drive and we do need your support. So I ask you so kindly to give us a call. I don't have any contributors yet, any donors yet. Please give us a call at 713 526 5738 and give whatever you can to support the show. As you know, we do the best we can with what we have, and we work on very meager budgets right here. So please consider becoming a sustaining member by doing $5 a month, $10 a month, $15 a month, whatever you can, or a one-time donation. We also we have our Politics Done Right t-shirts that you can get for a contribution. It's a gift we give if you contribute $100 or more. If you give $25 a month, you can get a 4x8 brick that's here in permanence for you with whatever you want inscripted on that brick. $50 a month gives you an 8x8 brick with whatever you want to inscribe. I've got to raise at least $500 this morning, and that gives me a few minutes to do that. So I want to say, first of all, if we have someone that has the wherewithal to close that out for us right now, or do a big part in closing that out for us right now to meet our quota, please feel free. We know there are people they're able to do so. If you can, please consider doing this for a good cause. Remember, you'll be making sure that quite a few people are remain informed with what we do here. But again, for the rest of us, please consider doing basically $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you can, or a one-time contribution if you can. And again, you know we work and earn what we're doing for you. So before I continue and go to Spike, and by the way, welcome aboard the chat, Jay. Good morning, Joe from LA. Thanks having you here. Let's go ahead and go to Sandy. Sandy have a few things to say, then we'll pass it on to Spike, and we'll move on from there. Are you there, Sandy?
I am. Thank you, Egberto. And again, thank you for doing what you do. Folks, as Egberto said, we have a goal to raise. As of this day, the beginning of the second week, you have the opportunity to be the first donor. Because overnight, actually, nothing came in. But given yesterday's torrent, we probably needed to step back and take a breath for a minute. So help us get to the next $1,000 level. Right now we're at $58,434, leaving $566 between us and $59,000. Because for every $1,000 we raise, we're going to be sending bedding supplies to the Star of Hope mission or the women's shelter. Actually, both. We're going to split the two so that we are giving back to the community as we get funded. We're a community radio station immersed in Houston, Texas, and it's only right that we, at every fund drive, when we tank up, that we help others while we have this going. So if you can, help us get to that $59,000 number. We'll go from there. That'll represent the 59th shipment of bedding supplies to either the Women's Shelter or Star of Hope mission. Thanks very much for doing so. You can call 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org and click donate. Looking for that first contribution on this Thursday. Neil Aquino morning. Egberto, back to you.
Thank you so kindly, Sandy. Before I go to Spike and then Harry, let me go back to Brother Neil to see if he wants to add anything to the discourse before we move on.
I do. I'll make three very quick points. The last connected to the pledge drive. The first one, you mentioned Liz Cheney. That reminds us, as we talk about that, our local public officials Republicans could also distance themselves from Trump. Authoritarianism will require a local infrastructure, and we need our elected officials here to distance themselves. Secondly, when we talk about, in the voting booth, we don't know what you're doing. Just because you may say, "Oh, I know that," that's obvious. Just don't assume what anyone knows. Think about anyone you know who could use that information. Don't presume that what others know is what you know. Help people vote. Third, in terms of the pledge, there's been recent stories. The Los Angeles Times is not going to endorse in the presidential election because their owner told them not to. I read a story just this morning that the Washington Post has not endorsed for president, and there was speculation Jeff Bezos has, for the moment, stopped them from doing that. Here at KPFT, this is a source of free and independent media. This is a voice that's been here for many years, 53 years, I believe, and that will continue with your pledge to be here. So it doesn't just help the station, it helps our local community, it helps you. This is a free and trusted voice of information. We've seen that we talked earlier a second ago about how Meta and Facebook strangle everything. Political content. Twitter's a sewer, a right-wing sewer. The Washington Post, legacy traditional media, which still offers some good things, but their voice is strangled by their ownership. Here, you're the owner. You're paying for it. You're going to get a free service, and I don't think there's a more important time where we can have a free, independent source of media and public voice. So please pledge.
Thank you for that, Neil. I didn't know that the Post wasn't going to endorse this year.
Well, they
After
have
all,
no. It just said that so far they haven't, and there was
uh-huh.
speculation as to why. The Los Angeles Times made a call. They had it. They were gonna. In fact, the editorial page editor of the L.A. Times resigned. She resigned yesterday, in response, or over the week, in response to that decision. But that's not happening here. And here, if you listen to our Thursday segment and Monday through Friday, not just do we give our views, but we also name the names of the politicians we're addressing, for good or ill. And we need to be able to continue. I can't imagine a more important time. And in terms of the local thing that we do here I'm discussing Houston City Council. A few weeks ago, we discussed the sidewalk ordinance. We've gotten into in the year that I've been here on Thursdays, we've discussed so many local issues. I was at the West Gray Multi-Service Center, handing out an advocacy card for a group. I won't mention who they are, and I tried to hand it to some guy, and he talked about his views. He gave me an insight into his views. Then he walked two people down, and he said he told this person he wanted to interview them, and he was with a local radio station. I'm not going to say which one it is, but it's one where there's some right wing programming. So he actually gave me. He says he's a journal, whatever it is. He's given me this right wing statement. Walks down the at West Gray, two or three people to another person who was engaged in some advocacy and wants to interview him, and he'd already told me he was a right winger. Right, so it's not journalism. There's very little journalism from our Houston radio stations, or honest discussion of opinion, non right wing discussion of opinion. But here there is, and it needs your support. And when you do it, you're helping yourself.
Thank you very much for that, Neil. Thank you very much. Folks, the number is 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to contribute. We are at 0 right now. Please be the first, the second, the third, and the fourth, the fifth. We really need your support at this time. Likewise, you can go to kpft.org, and then that is kpft.org, because again, that is how we can continue doing what we do best, and that is to inform you. And by the way, not only inform you, but as Sandy and Howard and Brother Van Beber can tell you, we also have some great music on this station, and they themselves are DJs. But anyhow, let's go to Spike, line number 1.
All
Spike,
right.
you're
Hey,
on.
how you doing?
I'm doing fine, my brother. Talk to me.
Hey, man. Good, good. Hey, let me ask you a question. Would you say that technology today is way more advanced than it was, say, in the 80s and the 90s? And I know it is, but I mean, you would agree with that, I know.
Yes, sir, I would.
Okay.
Uh,
Then, all right. Now, you remember the hanging chads? The hanging chads.
Yes, I do.
Painfully. Yeah.
For Gore, you're voting for Gore, but your vote is going to Bush. Man, and the technology is so far advanced, and these men are making these machines and stuff. Man, see, I'm very leery of this. You know, I mean, that don't bother you to think that
I am glad. Yes, I understand your question, Spike. Spike, I know where you're going, and thank you, because what you're saying is so very important. Brother Spike, let me tell you what the deal is. I love what we have currently, what Hidalgo and the others have done in Harris County. We have what's called a paper trail, right? When you're done getting your vote and it comes out of your machine, that's a paper trail. You get something that then gets read by another device. So we could manually look at that piece of paper that you put in your machine, compare it. In fact, when you get your ballot out of the machines in Harris County, you can look at it and see who you voted for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? So that's it right there. There's no let me finish and then go ahead, sir.
Go ahead. No,
Yeah, so
go ahead.
you can go ahead and see that the vote was then, and then it goes into another machine and scan. The person manning the other machine, you can make sure they don't see your ballot as it goes into scan and drops into a hole. All right? So if later on
Yeah.
the machine says one number and we think that number is wrong, we can go back to the paper trails. In other words, what I'm saying, my brother, is technology is there that we should be able to get the results of the election immediately. And if it's in doubt, we should be able to count the vote later on. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Does all the states have that, like you said, that's here?
Yes.
Does all the states have that? Do they have
And
that
it's not everywhere. It is not everywhere. And that is something that I think I'm sorry. We can't. You finish and then I'll talk. We can't talk over each other. Go ahead, sir.
No. Go ahead. No, I'm just saying, man. You know, all the states don't have. I wonder why. And they know what's going on.
Right. You just answered the question. You asked the most intelligent question. Why? Because in chaos we can steal elections. Okay? Where there is chaos, they don't look. There are a lot of people who don't look. We have the technology to make things perfect, near perfect. In other words, we go ahead and we have paper trail as well as automation. That combination is perfect because we can count if we have any doubt about the automation. And it's easy to do it. The reason they don't do it is because they want the ability for fallibility. So you nailed it. Harris County solved that problem because we have real government. I don't particularly like our system. We could even make it better, but at least it has the traceability factor in there. Anything else, Spike, before I jump to Harry?
Let me say this. Hey, man, with them powerful billionaires that want this man in there, I mean, that's why this man is allowed to say anything he wants to, and nothing happens. You know, they want
well, you know what, Spike, something. All right, Spike, I got to go, but let me just tell you something. Something is going to happen if you make it happen. I want folks. And this is something that I was on another forum. I was on the Progressive Democrats of America forum. And I heard some people this is probably a couple hundred people on this call. And I looked at, I got sort of upset with some of the people. Upset is not the word. I said, look, we will get exactly what we worked for. And being concerned and worried doesn't win you a damn thing. There are more good people in America. There are more people who want good things for Americans out there. the thing about it is, if you
I,
make people believe that they don't have agency, that they don't have authority, that they don't have the ability to move their own futures, then they sit back and do nothing. Leaders, you know what leaders do, Brother Spike? Leaders go out there and say, this is still a democracy, and this democracy is in your hands. Now do what you must do to maintain this democracy. Women and men who love women, do what you must do to make sure women's rights are respected and kept. People need to get that message from our leaders. And you know what you're going to get at Politics Done Right? You're going to get that message. Spike, thank you so kindly for calling in. I'm going to
right
go to
on,
Harry,
man.
but
Thank you.
before, thank you, brother. Before I go to Harry, I want to give a big thanks to Debbie and Steve. And this one is in honor of brother Neil Aquino. It says, in honor of Neil Aquino and his long-term efforts to protect democracy. I
Okay, very
tell you,
good. Thank you.
I know who to hang with, man. Thank you for helping protect our
Thank you.
democracy,
Very
Neil.
kind. Very Debbie and Steve. Thank you so much. Very kind.
Absolutely so. Love this brother. All right. Before we continue with Harry, I want to throw it back to brother Sandy, and then we'll come right back to the phones.
Thank you. And thank you for that first pledge of the morning that gets us off the schneid, makes us confident that it's not us and it's not the software, it's us. So thank you for doing that. Folks, we have a sustaining program where you open your credit card, your EFT, and you provide those numbers. You can send a check in every month. The point being is that you make a monthly contribution going forward when you sign up as a sustainer with no cancellation date. You just let that ride. And when you do that, first off, we get a $50 matching gift from a anonymous, very generous donor. So you say sustainer, no matter the amount, add 50 bucks. Second thing that happens is everybody that donates as a sustainer, well, you're a collective voice. And what that voice does is to bring in money every month when we're not in fund drive. When we're in fund drive, it matters not. The money keeps coming in, and we're able to better manage our budget. Currently, when we began this drive, we are receiving somewhere around 42%, 43% of our monthly needs coming from sustaining pledges, which is a great thing. It's possible that 52,000 people giving $1 each a month would pay all the bills. Unfortunately, we don't have 52,000 subscribers at this point. So if you could do $5 a month, that's $60 a year. It gets matched with a $50 bill, that's $110. A $10 a month contribution becomes $170, etc. But when you join that pool of sustaining donors, you're doing much more than just making a donation today. You're allowing KPFT to move on into the future much more easily. Folks, I ask you kindly to consider becoming a sustaining member of KPFT. A KPFT t-shirt is a $100 pledge, as is a Politics Done Right t-shirt. We have a coffee cup and 1 pound bag of Caroline Street roasted Lola Savannah coffee beans. That's a $120 donation, $10 a month. All the dollar amounts you see for thank you gifts, you can break them up into monthly amounts. You don't need to get the whole injection all at once. So I encourage you folks, join us as a sustainer, pick up a thank you gift, maybe a cap for $150 or a hoodie for a $180 donation. No matter what the thank you gift or the donation, consider the sustaining route, please. It's a big help. And one day coming soon, there won't be 4 pledge drives a year anymore. Because of sustaining pledges, we're going to be able to cut back on fund drive days as we approach 2025. It's our own project 2025, the good type, the type that allows us to operate smoothly, not the one with all the stuff in it that's going to impact virtually everybody I know, myself too, and let's hope that never comes to fruition. Okay, 713-526-5738, option one. Back to you, Egberto. Let's keep the conversation going, and thank you very much.
Thank you so kindly, Sandy. Anyway, folks, 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Llámanos, por favor. Contribuye lo que puedes ahorita mismo. We need your support. Please give us a call at 713-526-5738. Folks, you aren't going to hear what you hear here anywhere else in Houston, and to some extent to some of the other listening areas as well. We are here for you. This is your program. Anyway, let's go to Brother Harry, line number 2.
Good morning, Neil Aquino. Good morning, Alberto. Good morning, Jack. Good morning, Howard. And good morning, Sandy. Well, as you know, Alberto, I've mentioned on this show that I'm still registered in California, and I printed out my California ballot. And I'm looking at these questions are for you and Neil Aquino. I'm looking at here at United States Senator, and I'm looking at Adam B. Schiff, and I'm looking here at some of these other things, 15th Congressional District, these other people, and then State Senator. And my question is, how do I see here with Jill Stein and Rudolph Ware, I know how they feel about Israel, and they want an arms embargo, which I know they're not going to get, but I like the way they think. And I'm just wondering about these other people. Are these people thinking the way Jill Stein, Rudolph Ware, and Dr. Cornell, which I'm going to vote for, they want an arms embargo? Are these people like Adam B. Schiff, who's running for the senator, is he pro-Israel? Is he thinking the way Kamala Harris is? And Joe Biden, that, two-state solution, or does Adam B. Schiff want a permanent ceasefire? And I just want to know, I know I can pull up websites, but I was wondering if you guys had any ideas where I can go to find out what their stance is on Israel and the Gaza and Lebanon war.
Okay, let me answer. Let me answer it this way. First of all, I don't have on my radar, as far as these individuals, what their policy is with Israel. Okay, I know what my feelings are with Israel and Palestine and Gaza, etc. Man, everybody knows that I support Israel, I support Palestine, I support a two-state solution, I support a ceasefire, etc. But I'm going to be honest and frank as I can. This current election, is not. I want to say this in the best that I can with the proper tonality. We don't have the power within this election right now for the Israel solution. Believe it or not, that is an Israeli Gaza solution that what we do is aid. But as far as our voting on that issue, it's sort of an academic issue. We have to vote to get democracy maintained right now, because absent that, we can't help Israel. Absent that, we can't help Palestine. So what I try to tell people is these are the lives of people that matter. The lives of Palestinians matter. The lives of Israelis matter. But the only way we can get a solution for that is to ensure that our lives in America as well, our democracy in America as well, matter, because then we can do something about that of the others. And for that reason, and I've told you this honestly, my dear brother Harry, for that reason, yes, I think anybody voting for a third party here because of, and I say this with respect, but anybody voting for a third party and not on decision is not making a pragmatic vote for the country. And I know you may disagree with that, my brother, but that is, if you add it up scientifically, whether it's in California or Texas.
Right. And when I know that these little boys and girls and men and women who have been, their hospitals have been bombed, their schools have been bombed, their homes have been lost, and they have no place to go. I just can't